What does it look like to be a disciple in today's fast-paced world? In the midst of our busy lives, it is so easy to go through the motions in our faith, but we're missing out on the true transformative call to follow Jesus wholeheartedly. In this video, I'll explain what discipleship is and what it's not. I'll unpack the challenges that we face living as a disciple and why it is so important for your spiritual growth. I'll talk about practical insights to help you develop the mindset and the habits of a true disciple. Hey, what's up? My name is Lucas Gonzalez. I'm a pastor. I've been in ministry for over 15 years, and I have seen firsthand the power of discipleship, even in my own life, and how it can transform you from the inside out, take you from where you are to where God has called you to be. Today, we are talking about what is discipleship. In Matthew 28, in the Great Commission, Jesus gives us the command to go and to make disciples of all nations. So what is a disciple exactly? A disciple is a disciplined student. A disciple was not only a pupil of someone, but an adherent. Hence, they are spoken of as imitators of their teachers. So Paul even says, "Follow me as I follow Jesus." So we want to not just hear the teachings of Jesus, we want to imitate and live out the teachings of Jesus. We want to be disciples. So I want to share for a minute, what did discipleship look like in the early church when we're reading the book of Acts? And I believe there were two things. First of all, I believe it was relational and it was intentional discipleship. In Acts chapter 2, verse 42, it says about these new believers, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. I believe discipleship was deeply personal and a relational process. Here's one thing you need to know about discipleship. It is not an event. You don't go to something and then arrive at discipleship. There was a process of discipleship, of growing and of maturing that took place. And that's why these new believers committed themselves to the apostles' teaching, to the scriptures, to breaking bread and to prayer, because it was relational and intentional discipleship. Number two, I believe discipleship was community and accountability. In Hebrews chapter 10, verse 24 and 25, it says, "Let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds and not giving up meeting together." All right, so discipleship was lived out in community. How can we spur one another on to do good works and not forsaking meeting together? So discipleship happened in the context of community and accountability. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. I remember being in Bible college, and when you're with somebody all the time, you get irritated with people, okay? But in those irritations, there's an incredible opportunity to exercise and grow in your faith and to grow as a disciple and to become smooth in the rough areas in your life. And that doesn't happen when it's just you, yourself, and I. It only happens when you intentionally put yourself in community and you let yourself rub up against other believers where there can not just be community, but there can be accountability. Hey, you did that thing. Hey, I don't know if that came across right. Hey, I think you need to work on how this is coming across, or when you're saying whatever it may be. But discipleship did not happen and does not happen effectively when there is not accountability, and it happens best in community. And again, I'll say it discipleship is not just a one-time event where you just arrive and like, now I'm a disciple. Discipleship is an ongoing thing, because as believers, we are called to live in community with one another. And then when we're going through that discipleship process, there comes a time where we become a person who makes disciples. So what does discipleship look like today in today's church, in today's culture, and living as a Jesus follower? Number one, I believe you need to prioritize authentic relationships over programs. Again, Proverbs 27:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. I know going to an event or going to a program may seem easier, but I want to encourage you, you cannot fast track discipleship. I remember when I went through something and I moved back to Ohio and I was meeting with a counselor, and he told me it's going to take about 9 months for you to start to feel better in your soul. And you cannot rush this process. It's going to take time for you to forgive and get healing and get healthy in your soul. You couldn't rush that process. And so I remember meeting with my counselor, my therapist, for once a month for 9 months. And I want to encourage you, in the same way I could not fast track being healthy in my soul, is the same way you cannot fast track discipleship by going to an event. So I want to encourage you to prioritize authentic relationships over an event and over a program. Number 2, and what should discipleship look like for today? I want to encourage you to embrace correction and answer the question, who can tell you no? All right? Again, I want you to embrace correction and who can tell you no. Proverbs 27:6 says, wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. And so when somebody can tell you the truth in love, they love you enough to share with you something that is hard to say. One of the things I believe about spiritual maturity, about discipleship, is a lot of times we say we're submitted. We say that we are under someone's leadership when everything is going smooth, when everything is going right. Real submission is not tested until there's disagreement. Until there's friction there, or until there's disagreement, real opportunity for discipleship does not happen. And it's in those moments when a mentor, when a pastor, when somebody that is discipling you in an area of your life can speak into your life and say, hey, this may be a blind spot for you, or I want to encourage you, I think you need to grow in this area. So my encouragement for you as a disciple would be to embrace correction and answer the question, who can tell you no? Because people that can give you feedback, they are not doing it for their benefit. They're doing it for your benefit. I love when people speak into my life because I know it's not always easy to say the truth in love. But if you love me enough to tell me an area that I need to grow in, or a blind spot about my leadership or how I am going about my business that I don't see, I want you to tell me. All right? Again, listen to the words. Wounds from a friend can be trusted. So it may hurt when you hear that, but I want to encourage you. It is going to help you in the long run. Number 3, aim for transformation, not transaction. All right? Discipleship, again, is not just something you can slide your card through and then you have it. Aim for transformation in different areas of your life. Romans 12:2 says, do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So the goal of the gospel is not information. The goal of the gospel is that the information that you're reading in the scriptures becomes revelation. And then when the light bulb comes on, that it doesn't just stay there, but the revelation turns to transformation. And then as you're growing and as transformation is happening, then God calls you to impart and give away impartation. And again, it comes from reading and understanding that information becomes revelation. Revelation will then become transformation. And ultimately, you're called not to just keep it with yourself, but to give it away through impartation. So again, aim for transformation, not transaction. Aim for transformation, not transaction. Okay? The gospel is transformative in your life. And here's what I would tell you. It is okay, and you should have different people that are speaking into your life. It's okay to have different mentors in different areas of your life, because You're not going to be a 10, and I'm not going to be a 10 in every area of my life, but transformation is something that I want to happen in multiple areas of my life. And one person, one mentor, one pastor cannot give me everything that I need. I remember when I started preaching, I was 17 years old. My youth pastor at the time, I really liked the way he preached. When I would preach, I would imitate his style. I liked it in the beginning. And then I became a student of preaching and communication. And then I grew and I had different mentors and different people that helped me grow as a communicator. And it just couldn't be one person. But the goal was not just a transaction to happen. I wanted my preaching to transform people. So I needed to grow as a disciple and as a communicator of the gospel. But then there are other areas of my life that I want to grow in. And so I've had other pastors and other mentors in my life that help me in different areas to grow as a leader, to grow as a husband, to grow as a father, to grow in my finances. And so sometimes you can have a great pastor and he can be there for you. But the goal is that that relationship would help you transform, because that is what the gospel calls us to do. Not to just stay where we are, but to grow as a disciple and to transform by the renewing of your mind. And there are different areas of your life that God calls you to go higher in. All right. In the areas of our soul, in the areas of our mind, in the areas of a parent, as a teacher, as a worker, as a minister. Okay. Transaction is not just one thing, or discipleship is not, oh, I checked the box and now I am a disciple in this area. And then you stop. Discipleship is I'm growing in every area of my life, in my faith, in my family, in my finances, in my ministry, in my future, in my health, as a parent, as a worker. Okay. And so transformation is the ultimate goal. So my encouragement would be, have good mentors, have people in your life that can help you go from where you are to where you're called to be. But if you admire something in the life of somebody else, my encouragement to you is get close to that person, get into a relationship with that person, and then ask them to help you grow in that area. And I can assure you, it is such an honor for people in a place of leadership. And I know that you would do the same for someone else, to help you grow in your spiritual journey. And so again, the aim has got to be transformation, not just transaction. All right, I want to end this video by talking about some of the challenges of discipleship today. There's a lot of things we could talk about. I want to share two of them. Number one, superficial engagement. Superficial engagement. I know that in churches, it is really popular to be a part of their programs. I know that, hey, we got a class we want you to sign up for. There's an event we want you to be a part of. Hey, we want you to serve on a team. And if you're not careful, you can do all of the programs that your church is offering. You can be busy, but you cannot be growing. It's almost like you're on a merry-go-round. Okay? A lot of movement, but you're not going anywhere. You're a part of a lot of things, but you're not going anywhere. Spiritual growth is not measured by how many things that you can be a part of. And I think if you're not careful, you can think you're growing as a disciple by being busy in church activities instead of being intentional about creating relationships and having people speak into your life. Superficial engagement is one false measurement of discipleship. And I would encourage you, don't just be busy, but be intentional. All right. The second thing is I believe that there is a pressure to perform. There is a pressure to always present yourself the best. It's hard to be vulnerable if you feel like you're always on, or people are always watching you, or you're always kind of having to feel like you're wearing a mask. Discipleship happens when you can get close enough to somebody, take off the mask and say, hey, here's what I'm dealing with. Here is what I'm going through. And if we are always answering the question, hey, how you doing today? Oh, I'm blessed and highly favored. I'm the head and not the tail. I'm the first and not the last. I'm the lender, not the borrower. Praise God. Well, I'm going to encourage you. Listen, that is, again, it's superficial. There's a pressure to always present our best, to always be our best. But transformation doesn't happen in the shallow levels of relational interaction, okay? So I want to encourage you again, take off the mask, be vulnerable. James chapter 5 says to confess your sins one to another so that you may be healed. And it's in being vulnerable in our souls. It's confessing, hey, this is what I'm struggling with. This is what I'm going through, where the healing process happens in your life. When you are bringing those secrets, those dark secrets, and you're exposing them into the light. That is where discipleship and transformation happens. Okay, so don't let superficial engagement keep you from growing in your spiritual journey, and don't let the pressure to perform and look your best and act your best and be involved keep you from growing spiritually. Listen, we are called to be disciples, to grow in our faith, and to make disciples of all the nations. Hey, if this video encouraged you in any way, I would love for you to like and share it with somebody. That would mean so much to me. Also, if you want to grow in your faith or you want to grow as a leader, I want to invite you to join my free Christian community. I will put the link in the description below. Don't forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe. I will see you on the next video. Live dedicated. I can do that.